1954 Studebaker Deluxe Champion. Studebaker's bread and butter car for 1954 basically, especially with the 6-cylinder and overdrive. It's a very typical, stereotypical Studebaker of the era. This one was made in South Bend, Indiana, which is Studebaker's hometown, and found its way down to Norton, Kansas in April of '54 when it was built. It was actually fairly advanced for its day. The only other car that looked as modern, I guess, would be a Kaiser. And but in 1953 and '54, that was a very forward-looking car. Again, Studebaker had to be forward-looking when they brought out a car because they didn't have the volume to bring out a new body every 2 or 3 years like the Big Three could do. So that body survived. Actually, a lot of that body survived into the '60s. As well, Studebaker's major designer at this point was Raymond Loewy, under contract, and he had a saying, a little motto, that he pasted all over the ceilings and the floors and the walls, of course, over the design studio, and it said, "Weight is the enemy." And Studebaker had very light cars. This one weighs, the shipping weight is 2,765 pounds, so it's probably a good 300 pounds lighter than most cars at the time. A very unique feature of Studebaker from the mid-30s to the end in '66 was the hill holder. You'll notice that we're on a hill, but my foot is not on the brake and we're not moving. And as long as I keep my foot on the clutch, the brake system still has holds its pressure. All I have to do now is give it a few revs and pull the clutch out, and it'll release the brake pressure just using 2 pedals.
There's no question Studebaker was technologically advanced for the time period, and its unique styling turned heads and proved to be extremely practical. And Studebaker owners remain loyal to the cause. Roger's father had a Studebaker, and his father had a Studebaker. And guess what? That's right, Roger is now the father of a Studebaker owner.
I'm sure osmosis had something to do with it at the beginning, but being a Studebaker nut, we had a lot of literature at home, and he had a school project to do in high school, and he thought, well, that sounded like a good idea to write a bit about the history of Studebaker, and when he really got into it, he found this was really something, and all of a sudden his enthusiasm blossomed a lot. And as well, just a year or so later, we found his car, and we bought him a '64 Studebaker of his own, and boy, that sure helped as well.